Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first bite-sized branding show for 2023. Welcome, and thank you for joining us. And as always, Grant, my co-host, my right-hand man. Is he actually at my right hand? It depends on which way you look at the camera, but you're to the right of me in the camera, right? Um, Thank you so much for joining me. Did you have a good New Year's, mate?
I had a fantastic New Year's. I was in Sydney
Oh, yeah.
and I saw the bridge blow up, and I really thought it was a fantastic festive season. I really enjoyed the show, and yeah, it's been a very joyous, restful period. So yeah, good to be back. So everyone out there, my name's Grant Thom. I'm the head fire starter, and Bernard and I, what we do on Bite Size Branding is we have guests, we have topics, we have subjects with the view that we unbundle and try to get clarity on in the sense of his perspective, my perspective, and the guest's perspective, with the view to make life simply for people in business that have to do marketing. And so ultimately, what you hear about is to challenge. So today's show is all going to be about what we're going to put out there for 2023.
Mhm.
So it's going to be a bit of a loose format, and we're just going to shoot the breeze. But we're going to put a little bit of that edutainment that I always bring to the show, and Bernard compliments me every single time. And I think edutainment is what the name of the game is for 2023. What do you say, Bernard?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Look, it's all about information. It's all about insights. The idea is to keep you guys engaged, share some information that you're going to be able to take away, apply in your businesses, or connect with somebody that can give you a deeper understanding on a particular subject. So, very excited about what this year is going to bring. I think both Grant and I are a little bit rusty. This is our break-in show. We're gonna flex our brain muscles and our jaw muscles for a little bit. We'll keep to the format though. We're going to keep to the format. So we got 5 minutes on the clock back here, and a very inventive clock mount today. And we've got three subjects that we're going to unbundle. And I think we launch straight into it, so we don't burn too much of our first subject. We're going to start to talk about 2023, what our plans are, how the format of the show is going to change a little bit, and let's just get into it. Let me just flick this little guy on. Much easier to do when it's behind me than when it's in front of me. This is also a plus, I think. So number one, find a way to mount this more permanently behind me. I think that's going to be a target for this year. It'd be cool if I could get a digital clock. That doesn't seem to be an
Yeah,
successful objective just
yeah.
yet. But we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen there. I think one thing that probably people don't know about the show is kind of the purpose behind the show. And it's not just about branding, and it's not just about marketing. We're also looking at business and creating opportunity for business. So we're going to be talking to a lot more people who talk around mindset, how to structure your business correctly. We'll look at talking to more people around the grants market and how you might be able to access new opportunities within your business by leveraging incentives that are out there. So we're going to broaden the scope a little bit more. So when you are watching this show, you can really walk away with something that's going to be able to support your business and how it grows into the rest of 2023.
Look, one of the things that I think is important about the show is that we've tried to find a unique way to bring information. So we try to not stop the people going long with long information and making it laborious, hence the clock. But at the same time, what we also try to do is to come up with three possible questions, and we don't prep anyone on these questions.
Yeah.
What we do is we think of it literally 2 minutes before the show, just so that we can get the freshest content from the person whose experience we're trying to pick
Mhm.
from, so that we're not dealing with someone who's prepared something or planned something. We're trying to get it to be as raw and as
Cool.
natural as possible for the show.
Yeah, so if you have watched our shows in the past and you ever thought that it might be scripted, it definitely is not. We are this terrible at presenting all the time. Um, but no, that's true. And the reason we do that is that the expertise of the guests that we're bringing on the show is their true expertise. They really know what they're talking about. They come onto the show and they really just download exactly what they do for a day to day, what they're really, really a professional at. And that's really important to the quality of the content that's produced on the show to ensure that we do bring on the kind of people who really know what's happening out there in the market. And we're going to, yeah, and like I said before, we'll do a lot more of that. I'm talking to speakers at the moment that are going to join us that are going to talk around financing, how to actually finance your marketing spend, and how to look at your budgeting in order to make sure that it's going to work adequately and return for your business. So that's a cool new approach of looking at how we do what we do, so that there's actually an effective and tangible ROI for business. And that's the key to what we're doing here. Where we want to, it's a very commercially minded conversation that we're having. We're talking about real businesses and the real impact that it can have.
Absolutely. I think another part that's also important is to find diversity of complementation for businesses to come forward, with the view that I'm talking to someone in connection who that you get an invoice, they will quite happily pay you for that invoice and get the money from your client. So therefore, you don't need to wait 30 days or 60 days for the money. So that's also a great benefit to a lot of people, getting the cash in a little bit faster. So what are the pros and cons around that? So that's another aspect of someone that I'm talking to as well.
Yeah, that's very interesting, to try and quash that cash flow hurdle, which is something that impacts every business that we have around us, including ourselves. Yeah. It was really interesting. We were talking about it earlier today. We were like, isn't it funny that the ones that always talk about their industry being so hard to get paid for invoices are the ones that also are typically the worst at paying their invoices? I'm like, you're your own worst enemy.
I think another point that is also of great benefit is what do we do for the show? So I think that, the show is never easy. When it's live, there's always something going on. There's either a guest's mic not working, or the clock's not working, or the clock fell over, or someone can't be there on time, or, the only thing that hasn't happened on the show is a broken chair. We've had everything else happen.
I'll break a chair if you want.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
But that is something that's going to be great for what we do this year, right? So we are going to be pre-recording the show, and that's not so we can go back and edit it. It's so that we can actually bring you bite-sized parts of the content, give you the hits and highlights around every single show that we produce. It gives you guys a lot more access to the content in a lot more different formats. So we're excited to bring it up in a different way of offering up the content, so you can still get this big piece of content if you want to access it, but also get bite-sized little gold nuggets whenever you need them. So we're going to really ramp up how you guys can receive this content, so you can find it in many more different ways.
I think another part of what makes a great show, in 4 seconds to go, is the fact that
no answer. No, it's right.
No, it's all down to the question. It really is about the questions. And this is where the listeners now need to get involved with us in 2023.
Yes.
We need to get more challenging questions. We need to get more debate happening. We need to be asking more hot topics with our guests. So this is why in 2023, hence why we want to now record the show, get some bite-sized chunks into the marketplace. But we also want to start motivating people, start posting questions with us so that we can get them answered. We want to actually try and create nominations. We just want to really just take the show to the next level. So credible guests, credible subjects, credible questions, and bigger debates.
An incredible show.
And an incredible show at the end.
Awesome. Sorry?
And you are out of time, by the way.
And you are out of time. Yeah, stop talking. Just shut up. So we'll jump straight into the next question. Talking about what we're going to be doing in the future. Let's look at what the future of the market looks like. Obviously, there's been a bunch of rate rises and economy, and people talking about inflation and the possibility of a recession. Let's unbundle those subjects and how it might be impacting ourselves and impacting our decisions we make on business in the future. Are you ready to go? I like this. I reckon I can do this like this. There it is. Nice.
So I think one of the things that's facing us is that there is this discussions that we're going to have another 4 rate hikes by the time it's till August. And already things have really been impacted us in a big way. And it's only to be understood in the sense of what we went through the pandemic and the shutdown, that everything just got broken, everything has to be reestablished. And of course, there's debt to be made up. But at the same time, this means there's pressure for business, there's pressure for sales, there's pressure for staff, there's pressure at home. And so this whole thing is becoming a pressure cooker. And so the relevance of a show like this is that it's now the time that you really got to get your hustle on. You've really got to get innovative. You've got to have to become creative. You're going to get your message. You're going to have to work out your why. You're going to have to make sure your point of difference. You're going to have to make sure that you're solving a problem, which is ultimately what your brand and business is all about.
Yeah, I remember through the through coronavirus and through the GFC. I don't want to say it too broadly. Obviously, every business was impacted, but the ones that got impacted the least were the ones that took it in their stride and got running, not hiding. And the ones you see that for, and it still is to this day, that impact is still seen. That brands like Toyota that went into the market really hard, advertised and promoted their brands, Nike, Coca-Cola, like, okay, these are big brands, but on a smaller scale, the same thing happened that we saw it with our own clients. The ones that buried their head in the sands and said, this is too hard, I don't know what to do. They're the ones that ended up still, even to today, are still trying to fight back their market share or have given up on their businesses completely. The ones that actually started to invest and said, okay, well, now that I have time and capacity, or I have breathing room, what can I do with this breathing room? Can I market differently? How can I position my product differently? Can I improve my systems or my delivery or how I onboard a client so that they see that we're different from everyone else in the market, that we're not running scared, that we're not worried about what the future looks like because we know we're going to outlast this moment. I think a lot of businesses are going to have to take one of those two options. You're going to either have to wake up that things are changing and start to be agile, or bury your head in the sand and just watch how it plays out for you and hope for the best. And I think pretty easily to see that that's never really worked out for anyone in the past. So, and then the other thing that kind of came to mind while I was saying that has also now just escaped my mind. Can you believe it?
No, I can't.
Incredible.
One of the hottest tips that I think is important is the fact that this is the time that you've got to get your team to sit around the table. And it's not about a social session. It's about really a deep dive. Ask everyone their point of view. I think you should take tips from every single member of your team, even the driver to that of the receptionist to that of logistics, whatever the case would be. I think you need to listen to your team and really ask questions to each one, because each one of those services has got an idea or a theory of what they could do better or what someone else could do better in the organization that could make it more streamlined. And I think if you pay attention to that, you might just find those little gold nuggets that might just give you that point of difference to survive this recession.
100%. I think that's phenomenally said. Like every week we meet up with our whole team and we kind of distill, okay, what's impacting you right now inside the business and outside the business? How can we adapt the business to be able to service that need? And I think a lot of people often closed off to that because they're worried about hearing about things they don't want to necessarily hear or feel. But how else better to get the information than directly from the source? And if that means people are unhappy, then don't get hard on yourself. Look at opportunities to move the buck forward, and it just continually improves and the people in our team are just happier and happier and happier. And what's great about that is when we ask them for feedback, they have less and less and less to say every single time because they're just running out of things.
But I think it's also about giving reward. If someone's really got a good idea, pay attention to it and follow through and give feedback to the idea and say, listen, you gave this idea. I tried it out. I went like this and I followed it and I implemented it and I saw this. But here where there are issues, there's this issue, that's that issue. So as great as the idea was, it's going to have limitations. I would like more ideas. Like I keep on thinking, but I really wanted to give you feedback that it was a great idea, but we're not going to go with it at this point in time.
Give them let them know the results. Like, how have we implemented it? Was it effective? Was it not effective? And we're constantly adapting as well. Like ideas come in and we go, oh, that sounds good. And we try it and we go, okay, it didn't quite work. How else could we do it? The other thing I was going to mention before in the last 7 seconds is there were a lot of salary rises during the there it is. Man, that was a much bigger subject than I thought we could cover up. There are so many more things we could talk about. But yeah, just being really wary. There is going to be a change in salaries that 100x salary that you picked up during the COVID time when it was harder to find team members, that's going to start to readjust and come and normalize for lack of a better term. So just be cautious in the role and the job that you're in. Make sure that you know and are continually adding value even as an employee. And create the role that you want within a business. It's nice to kind of slot in and just get into the rhythm of the day, but the more value you can add, like making suggestions and looking for ways to enhance or improve the process in the business, that's what's going to keep you there no matter what happens with the economy.
Look, I just don't think anyone was taking anything for granted. I think you've really just got to pay attention and really be on every single day.
Yeah. Mate, aren't we cheery for the start of the year?
Oh,
Um, we should have started the opposite way around. Do the doom and gloom first, and then the happy what's up for 2023 after. We
all
got
right.
one
Well,
more.
last segment up.
We got one more question we just wanted to throw in there. There's been so much talk about AI, and then specifically around this new wonder platform, ChatGPT. Super exciting stuff. We just want to talk a little bit about the history of AI, or at least our insights into AI, and how ChatGPT is maybe channeling the future of how the technology can be used. I'm going to throw this baby on. There we go.
Very good.
Man, look, thank you. It's much easier doing it this way, man. This is
Oh,
this is the
yeah,
future
very
right
well.
here. So I want to start off by saying there is a bit of a fallacy over the last couple of years around AI. Everyone was playing it off like it was the next greatest thing since sliced bread, and everyone was AIing every industry that they could think of. The truth is that most of the AI that we have in the market, it's not AI at all. It's just really sophisticated databasing and asking that database the right question. That is not artificial intelligence. Intelligence means it can learn and adapt through that processing. So the next time that question is answered, it can either be better targeted with its answer, or it can take you in a completely different direction from where it did before because it's learned new information. Historically, that is not what AI has done. All it has done is streamlined a search process based on keywords, and it's not that. It's just not AI. It's just not AI. But ChatGPT is a real difference maker. I don't know if you want to jump in with a little bit of your insights. I've had a couple of experiences with it too, and it's some pretty exciting stuff.
Look, I've done exactly the same. I've jumped
Mhm.
in, I've given a few tests, and the response has been really surprising.
Yeah,
Where it is or where it's going to end up, I don't think I've got my head around it yet. There's lots of talk that at the moment it's learning, it's
yeah,
machine learning, but as soon it's going to start thinking for itself, and I think that's the part that is scary because it can
Terminator.
eliminate anyone out of a job, but at the same time it can also take us to another dimension.
Yeah,
So, one of the things that we want to do on the show is bring guests that we're going to turn a full segment into chat
mhm.
GPT, in the sense of all the ins and the outs and the positives and negatives as to
And the
what it
trick.
is.
Yeah,
And we're in discussions if we're going to make that a 10 minutes segment because it's just so much to unbundle. I want to
yeah,
know where to make money out of something like
yeah,
that. I want
yeah,
to know how you make money out of technology. Just to
yeah.
have it, nice. I got to watch. It's nice, but I want
Mm.
something that's going to do something for my business, and therefore we've all got to pay attention. And that's partly where we are with the show. We want to grow the scale of the show to another dimension with the view to create that reach. But we want to unbundle what Chat GBT can do,
Yeah,
and what it can do for us, and how we can harness that technology.
yeah, yeah. I think there's definitely some. I've seen some crazy things like where people ask it to write like a piece of content for them, and then like they ask it to write it in the perspective or in the languaging that a teenager
Yeah,
would use, or
yeah, I've
and
done that.
that's incredibly exciting. Like to be able to take something and then be able to target it more effectively, to target the languaging, I think is brilliant. I think where it is always going to miss, even with that adaptation, it was 80%, 90% correct, but it wasn't perfect. Even the information was maybe still a little bit generic, still a little bit surface level. Whereas when I or somebody in our industry does deeper research, or in any industry does deeper research, there is much more. There is a level of sophistication to the information you put together that you can't just Google search, or else it would already be on Google. And
So I agree
that,
with you. I found
yeah,
that the grammar wasn't 100%.
yeah,
But what I did find interesting was that the points that it raised were very relevant. That you
mm,
could actually take those and harness them further,
yeah.
and that was quite exciting. That was
We,
really, and that literally just took minutes. So you would ask a
yeah,
question, and you would walk away, and it would then type up the page. You'd come back and read the page, and it was like, okay, well that's just saved me 2 hours.
yeah.
Uh, you know,
And then it's just editing on top. But and the flip side of that is that sometimes it doesn't capture the personality, right? It gives you the information, and yes, it can be like adapted slightly, but it's not you. Like, you're just reading a generic piece of information. And we had an experience where we were looking at for statistics and data, and it just it spat out the same statistics and data that we generically got off a search on Google. And I'm like, that's not the information. We're looking for like that next tier down that we can't seem to find anywhere. And it doesn't have the information either. Like, it only can access the information, much like the information we can access, just
Yeah.
quicker without having to type it into Google like that. And that is already an improvement, you know?
Yeah.
But where it could be used is something like in industries. Oh no, this is why we're going to need 3 10-minute segments, man. This is going to be, but like, I'll just wrap it up by saying where this could have a real significant impact is in industries where, for lack of a better term, it's educated guessing. And I don't want to like downplay anyone's skill set necessarily, or anyone's education. But let's say a doctor talks from their experiences and applies that experience to something they're experiencing now. It could be through read experience or actual physical experiences. But as much as it is for me, it is only what's front of mind that comes to mind when you're looking at something. So, oh yeah, I've experienced something like this, and it kind of looks like that. And based on my experience, this is what I propose as the most likely outcome. Using something like ChatGPT, you might be actually able to ask it the right questions that it will narrow down or give you a broader spectrum of information that you might have not contemplated.
Yeah.
And then from there, start to dissect what might be the most likely outcome. That could be a really effective way of using it and bringing information front of mind that you may have not had front of mind because it hasn't been in your scope or in your sphere for a period of time, you know? And that applies to other industries too. Same with the legal industry or even the accounting industry, being able to get relevant or updated information, by asking the right kind of questions. What in this circumstance is the best outcome that I could go for? That's where this could become a real player for a bunch of different industries. And it doesn't replace anyone at all. It in fact just enhances the way that they provide the service. And in all those industries, I don't know if you've ever caught any of your professional services Googling something while you're asking them the symptoms, but that's the truth. We don't have all the information front of mind, so we should stop pretending like we do. There is so much information to be harnessed, and a platform like this could take that information and just get it to us, in a heartbeat when we need it.
I think it gives us that opportunity for pivot. And I think pivot is a critical strategy and criteria to think about as to how to be viable and valuable in 2023 and 2024.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, man. Do you wanna wrap up the show?
Well, let me wrap up from my perspective. I think that this was a good example of 5-minute segments that went by so fast that we were still getting into the subject by the time that the clock was done. And that's part of the challenge in the sense that we're trying to dig up those gold nuggets, but at the same time, we don't want to go long and suck.
Yeah,
I think it's important that we create a lot of edutainment in the show, which we ultimately is our goal and purpose. But we would love very much more for more guests to like, share, subscribe, but at the same time, come on the show. We've got something valuable to share, or give us a question. And at the same time, we're going to definitely find ways that we can be more creative with the show and take it to wider audiences. And we actually want to change the profile of what we can do with this recipe. We know that every guest that's come on the show has loved the segment of how we've done it. We've just got to now make it bigger, better, and more personal for all businesses out there.
And that comes with your help. Everyone that's listening along, that watched it, has been watching it for years. If you think you might have something interesting to say, just reach out. Like, we're not opposed to listening to anyone and taking in your insights and then potentially featuring you on the show. So always excited to have that chat. And I think from my perspective, the one thing that I take away from this show every time is that there's still so much potential and opportunity. It doesn't matter what's happening in the market. And you can sit there and say, oh, but this is happening and this is happening. There's too much competitors. It's too easy to get in. It doesn't matter what's happening. There will always be an obstacle in the way. So if you look at it as a too big obstacle or a too small obstacle, there's still an obstacle. And the only thing you can do if you want to be successful is to keep moving past that obstacle. And the reason why most large businesses have been successful is because the person who was leading the charge, who was at the helm, was a bit crazy. Everyone else said, this person is crazy. The whole world is crumbling around them, and they're just pushing forward with this business. And to the surprise or to to the to push everyone off their seat. They were able, with that determination and with that understanding of the market and that agility, they're able to overcome those whatever's happening out there in the market. And we see it day to day with the businesses we work with. The ones that know how to pivot, the ones that search for the advice, search for the knowledge, and sink their teeth in the market, always find their way through it and grow at every obstacle.
So
So
there you have it.
That's what we're going to do for you. You come, you join us. We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep going, and upwards from here. Like, there's so much more opportunity to come. Don't worry about the doom and gloom that's out there. Focus on your road, your channel, and maximize it. Take it.
It's your time.
Awesome. It's your time. It's your time. And with that, everybody, thank you so much for listening and joining us. As always, Grant, thank you very much. I think we polished it up through that show. Next show we're gonna glide through it. We've got a great guest for the next show, and then we're gonna have guests all the way through the year. We're not gonna miss a beat this year. So we only need 26 guests. We only need 26 guests. That should be easy, right?
We actually 26 times 2 because we like to get 2 guests.
Yes, 2 guests.
There's a little bit of debate and debacle.
52 guests. That's what we're aiming for this year. Let's do it. With that said, everybody who is listening along, as Grant said, if you have questions, ideas, controversy, subject matter, or if you want to be featured on the show, or you have an interesting point that you want to put across, please reach out to us. You can, our emails are pretty readily available. Reach out to us on LinkedIn, whatever channel, Facebook, etc. And then if you have comments about this show, please write them in. We will still be online during the show, so we can answer your questions. And till the next show, we will be lining up more and more exciting guests.
Till the next time.
Awesome. Thanks, Grant.
Thank you.
See you later, everybody.